The open ocean can be one of the most unforgiving places on the planet. So we're going to explore how military personnel are protected from those dangers, in a world where a moment of fun can be just as planned and just as risky as a full-blown combat mission.
For sailors who've been on long deployments, this is a sight for sore eyes. It's called a swim call, and it's basically a chance to just relax and recharge, kind of like a pop-up water park in the middle of the sea. This is the crew of the U.S.S. Harry S. Truman getting their turn back in 2022.
Because here's the thing. While some sailors are splashing around, others are on duty, standing guard. They are armed and they are ready, constantly scanning the water for the dangers that are always lurking just below that beautiful surface.
Okay, first up, a break from duty. We're going to start with this really unique naval tradition, the swim call. And as you'll see, it's not just a party, it's a meticulously planned operation. It's both a reward for the crew and, believe it or not, a moment of high risk for the entire ship.
And this is what's so fascinating. You've got this split-screen reality going on. For every single person having a good time, there's someone else on high alert. You've got lookouts, you've got lifeguards, and you've got armed guards. Because if something bad were to happen, the ship itself is vulnerable.
And that brings us right to our next section, the unseen danger. Because that whole "what if there's a shark" idea? Well, it became terrifyingly real for a Coast Guard crew out in the Pacific.
I mean, just picture this. It illustrates perfectly the razor's edge they're on. 1 minute, it's a fun swim. The next, a 6 to 8 foot shark is heading right for them. In this case, a super quick thinking specialist fired some warning shots, and thankfully, that was enough to distract it so everyone could scramble back to safety. Talk about a close call.
So you have to wonder, right? What if that didn't work? When prevention fails and someone gets hurt, that's when one of the most intense and skillful operations at sea kicks into high gear, the medical evacuation, or as it's known, a Medevac.
And that brings us to Section 3, Rescue from Above. We're going to break down the Medevac mission. This is an incredibly complex system designed to save a life from a moving ship in the middle of a vast, unpredictable ocean. It's a total race against time and against the elements.
It's truly like a high-stakes ballet between the pilot and the crew. First, the pilot has to get a perfect, stable hover, fighting wind and waves over a moving target. Then, the crew lowers the rescue basket, coordinating with the people on the deck to get the patient secured. And finally, the hoist itself, a slow, steady trip back up to safety. Every single step has to be perfect.
But before a chopper's blades even start spinning, there's a really serious conversation that has to happen. A flight surgeon and the crew go through a Medevac checklist. They have to weigh how urgent the medical need is against the risks of the mission itself. Because, look, a dangerous hoist in bad weather can easily create more victims than it saves.
30 minutes. Just let that sink in. When a Medevac crew is called to a cruise ship, they are typically on site, doing their thing, for just under half an hour. That's from arrival to getting the patient and getting airborne again. A whole life-saving operation in less time than it takes to order a pizza.
Now, how do they pull that off? Well, with some seriously incredible technology, like the MH-65 Dolphin helicopter. Its automatic flight control can hold a stable hover just 50 feet above the water. That is a total game changer, especially in bad weather or at night, and it lets the crew focus all their attention on the rescue down below.
So that brings us to part 4, training for the worst. Because rescuing other people is one thing, but what happens when they're the ones who need saving? Military personnel have to be prepared for the ultimate catastrophe, saving themselves.
All right, let's break this down. They have 2 key types of training. There's WET, Water Emergency Training, which is all about how to survive in the water. Then there's SWET, Shallow Water Egress Training. That's about surviving getting out of a crashed aircraft and into the water. 2 very different, very intense skill sets.
So WET is really your foundational survival training. It covers everything you can imagine, from just basic swim safety to using life vests, and, crucially, how to deal with the deadly effects of hypothermia. The whole point is to make sure people can operate safely in and around the water, no matter what. Okay, now this is next level stuff. Sweat training puts air crews inside a simulator that flips them upside down and dunks them underwater. The goal? To teach them how to stay calm, unbuckle their harness, find an exit, and get out, all while they're completely disoriented. Yeah, it's just as intense as it sounds.
And you know, it isn't just the military doing this. Even NASA astronauts have to go through similar drills. They practice escaping from their capsule to simulate a splashdown in the ocean, learning how to handle everything the sea can throw at them.
So finally, Section 5, respecting the deep. From a totally casual swim call to escaping a submerged cockpit, there is one common thread, one idea, that connects every single one of these scenarios.
And that's really the key takeaway from all of this. It's not about conquering the ocean or being fearless. It is about having a deep, profound respect for its immense power, and then meticulously preparing for every single thing it might throw at you. So after seeing the absolutely immense preparation that's required, does it change how you look at the vast, seemingly empty ocean? It kind of reveals that the open water is never truly empty, is it? It's filled with constant risk, yeah, but it's also met with incredible professionalism and just an astonishing amount of training.